5 steps to create a buying environment during any sale. That's what you want. You don't want to create a selling environment. Jeffrey Gitomer is a friend of mine. We've met several times. We've even shared the same publisher, Ray Bard. And he says, people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. Think about that. If you're a prospect, you hate to be sold. It feels manipulative. It feels dirty, yucky, or put in any kind of adjective. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel organic. But if you want to buy something, as Amazon has created an environment for that, right? If you bought this book, then you'd love this book. If you bought this vitamin, you'd love that vitamin, right? If you bought this shoe, you'll love that sock. So what we want is to create an environment for buyers. We don't want to create a sales environment because there's nothing safe about selling. It's about winning over someone else. That's selling. Buying is when they're giving their heart to you. And their heart means their hard-earned money, or they're trading something, or they're giving something of value to you because they think it's equal or greater value. Simple, but not often talked about. So the first part of the Delta sales process is the word develop. Develop a safe environment for your prospect to be willing to engage with you. Key word, engage. If you're willing to develop a safe environment, which means it's meaningful, it's intimate, it's appropriate, you're not overstepping your bounds. It's like you're meeting an acquaintance. Many people don't have that skill, or they don't think they have that skill. But you know when you're in a safe environment, you don't feel manipulated. You don't feel threatened. You don't feel like you're going to make the wrong decision. If you put your prospect in a safe buying environment, you're not selling the prospect. What you're doing is you're setting a context for them to be willing to engage with you. That means just to continue. You got their attention so that they can have the interest, desire, and take the action you want them to. Now, the E in Delta, the second step, if you've developed a safe environment, then you want to engage in ultra, that means a lot, ultra meaningful dialogues to advance your prospect's interest. You have their attention. They feel safe. You're not really selling. What you're doing some intelligence gathering about them, but you want to engage in a meaningful dialogue, which means it goes back and forth. It's not a monologue. I'm sure you've been sold at some time in your life by a monologuer. They go, 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 go. Do you want it? No. And you give some kind of stupid objection that you know is not true. You say, I got to talk to my spouse. That's not a real objection. That is an objection that is covering or is veiling the true objection, which is, I don't trust you because you're a fast-talking salesperson. You're a pimp. I don't trust you. You wouldn't say that. So you say, I got to talk to my spouse. Or I'll have to check what my bank account looks like, or, I can't make that decision right now. And then you'll get, why not? And you get a bunch of other like judo, verbal judo, aikido, jujitsu, whatever. And it doesn't work because it's not a safe environment and you're not engaging in a meaningful dialogue. That means give and take. Not even 50-50. I think as the promoter, the salesperson, I think that you should be talking 60 to 70% of the time because you're the one who wants something and you make it clear to them. But even though it's not 50-50, there's a dialogue. You're getting some indicators. Like, for example, if you recall the Wolf of Wall Street, right? Jordan Belfort, who shares the same stage as I do all over the world with Success Resources. Now, I think he's a natural born salesperson. I don't train those people. I think they're much better than me. And he has an exceptional training. And he's online. You can check him out, Jordan Belfort. I like to train people who think they have no hope in selling. I like to train people who hate to sell. I have an entire podcast called All Selling Aside for people, coaches, consultants, service professionals who hate to sell. Do you hate to sell? By the way, what I'm doing right now is theatrics just to get your attention. It's pretty good, right? Okay, I don't need to be doing this, but it's more fun if I do it this way versus who hate to sell. It's not that my energy is high. I just want to change the energy of it. When Jordan Belfort, I think he was in New Zealand, after all of his challenges, and I think he went to jail and they took all his money. He lost his marriage, and it was terrible. He has a few books out. I recommend them. But at the very end of the movie, the actual Jordan Belfort introduces Leo DiCaprio, who plays Jordan in the movie. It's awesome. But here's what he does that I want you to be very, very clear about. He goes up into the audience. He doesn't talk about his background or his drug addiction of the past or anything else. He goes right into it and develops a safe environment for buyers by teaching people that they don't know how to start a sales conversation. He goes up to a person in the audience. He says, "Sell me this pen." And the person in a Kiwi accent says, "Well, it's a beautiful pen. It has an eraser in it." And he takes it away. He says to someone else, "Sell me this pen." And he says, "Well, this is a very unique pen. I mean, it has a unique shaft. It has this clip so that you can put it in your pocket without it falling out." And he takes the pen away. And he, I think, says it a third time, and then the movie ends. Now, if someone gave me a pen and he came up and said, "Sell me this pen," I say, "Jordan, how long have you been in the market for a pen?" And if he said, "Well, I'm not in the market for a pen," then I say, "Great. Then conversation is over." Because now that's an unsafe environment. Now there's no meaningful dialogue. Now I'm forcing, manipulating. But if he says, "I've been in the market for a pen for at least a month." "Oh, really? Tell me what type of pens you've been looking at. I'm just curious." And he gives me different types. Well, if you were to give me a price range for an investment, because the sales trainers say, don't say price. If we were to look at an investment for a pen, what would be the range? You say, "Oh, $50 to $250. Jordan, you could buy a writing instrument for less than $2. Why would you want to spend $250 at the high end for a pen? You see where I'm going with this? That's called a meaningful dialogue. A tip of the hat to Jordan Belfort on that. That's the way I would do it. He's much better at it. The third thing is the L in Delta is learn about your prospects' wants and predicaments they are focused on. Key word is focused on. Now, Jerry Akoff in the book, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly because I don't know the gentleman, but I hope to meet him. That's a long title of his book. Stop acting like a seller, start thinking like a buyer. That sounds like a subtitle, right? I would title the book, and Jerry, if you're watching, no offense intended. I hope it's not an unsafe environment for us to talk, okay? I would just call buy, right? Buy, or buyers, exclamation point. Big, because it's just easier to say, have you read Buyers? You know, there was a book called Profit. It's easy to refer. But I always forget, stop acting like a seller, start thinking like a buyer. That's like a subtitle to me. So I'm only saying that because I always forget the title and I want to refer the book to pay homage to him, to Jerry. So once I learn about his wants and predicaments of why he titled the book what he did, then I'll have a better idea. Right now I don't, and I'm giving unsolicited advice. So I'm sure it's offensive at some small level, but I'm telling on myself. So hopefully it's still a safe environment, to talk to him in the future. I'm talking about Jerry Akoff. So what does learn about wants and predicaments? Now, there's a difference between a want and a need. Okay, a lot of prospects want things, but they don't really need things. I don't need to have a $100,000 BMW M4 convertible, which I paid $90,000 for, and I'm jumping for joy for all the money I saved, right? Made in Germany, sent on a ship, took 3 months, dodged a few hurricanes. There's no other car like it with the combination of what I have. I don't need to spend $90,000 on a car. What I need is transportation, but that's not why I bought that car. And Jerry Akoff talks about a scenario like that. I bought the car because I love to drive a BMW, and I will not drive another car. And they're not a sponsor of any of the things I do, but the ultimate driving machine is just that. I just love to drive. So I'm overspending for transportation. Heck, I could take Uber every single day by helicopter and spend less than $90,000. So wants and needs are different. So you may think you know what the prospect needs, but that's irrelevant to what they want. So know the difference. Next is the predicament. A want is what they're moving toward. You want to learn what they want to move towards. You want to learn their point B. And then you want to spend a lot of time on point A, their predicament. I don't like the word problem. A predicament is a story. A problem is an event. A predicament is a point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's this big problem. There's a predicament, right? There's a predicament in a specific country. Well, that's not a problem. A lot of people have problems that lead to the predicament. So I like to use the word predicament. I think it's much more elegant. That is what they're moving away from. You got to learn those two things.